The Mendocino Coast Audubon Society welcomes you to a brief video presentation on the grebes of the Mendocino Coast. Grebes are aquatic birds. They have lobed toes that are set to the rear of their bodies. They are very adept at swimming and diving, but they are poorly equipped for walking on land. They all nest in floating mats of vegetation on freshwater lakes and ponds. We have 6 species of grebes in the winter, but only one stays to breed in summer, the pied-bill grebe. And our summer population is quite limited. These are the smallest grebes that live in our area and are generally found at the margins of freshwater lakes and ponds. In winter, the dark stripe mid-bill that gives them their common name is quite faint. But as they enter the breeding season, it becomes the defining feature of this bird. Note also the white circle that highlights the eye of a breeding pied-bill grebe. One remarkable feature of this bird is their ability to sink like a submarine until only their bill and eyes remain above water. Now let's move to the grebes that are here only in winter. This pair of grebes can be very difficult to separate in the wintertime. Here we have the eared grebe on the left and the horned grebe on the right. They are similar in size, although the horned is slightly larger and a bit heavier. Both can be found in freshwater and on the ocean. So what sets them apart? Notice the extent of the white on the head and neck of these two birds. On the horned grebe, the bird on the right, the white below the eye is clearly separated from the black of the crown, and it extends further to the back of the head and further down the throat. The map of white is larger and its boundaries are sharper. Now the eared grebe on the left shows much less white in the head and neck. On this bird, it is limited to the throat, and the neck is much darker. Notice the different shapes to the tops of their heads. Sibley notes this in his field guide, that the eared grebe on the left has a peak to the front, and the horned grebe on the right has a peak to the back. In the next slide, we'll see that that's not always very reliable. Similarly, look at the rear end of the bird. The eared grebe on the left, the rump appears to be kind of puffy, like a cotton ball. And on the horned grebe on the right, it is much sleeker and rounded and darker. But let's go to the next slide and test those keys. Now on this slide, the positions of the two birds have been switched. The horned grebe is now on the left and the eared grebe is on the right. If you notice, both heads are now round, and the horned grebe on the left, it shows the puffy rump. Also, the white on the face of the eared grebe, the bird on the right, extends further back on this individual. But what we still see is that the colors on the head and face of the horned grebe, the bird on the left, are sharply delineated. And notice the white in the front of the neck on this bird goes further down. It's much more noticeable, while the feathers on the head of the eared grebe seem to blur from black to gray to white to gray back to black. This is what we call the dirty neck of the eared grebe. Now in summer, these two birds have very distinctive plumages, but unfortunately, they do not breed on local waters. Now here are two birds that are easily separated by size. The bird on the bottom, yes, that's a horned grebe. Clear demarcation of black and white on the head, extensive white in the neck. The bird on the top has the same features, but much larger, with a noticeably larger bill. This is the western grebe. But just when we thought it was getting easy, it got confusing again. Like the similarities of the horned and eared grebes in winter plumage, the western and Clark's grebes share similar plumage patterns. In this slide, we have both species of large grebes together. But notice that the bird on the top, a Clark's grebe, appears to be generally brighter than the western grebes in the foreground. Here is a study of their faces. Note that on the western grebe at the top, the black feathers surround the eye, while on the Clark's grebe below, the eye is clearly found below the black of the head. Western grebe, eye in the black. Clark's grebe, eye in the white. That feature is surprisingly easy to see on most birds unless they are very distant. Similarly, the bills of these birds have slightly different colors. The Clark's bill, the bird on the bottom, is orange like a long skinny carrot, while the western's bill is a darker greenish yellow. Now here is a Clark's grebe. Note the eye is below the black. It has an orangish bill and a slightly lighter coloration along the waterline. Now here is another look at two western grebes. Notice the eye surrounded by black plumage, and the bill is a duller greenish yellow. Although these two species of large grebes are commonly found in ocean waters along our coast in winter, they breed inland on freshwater lakes. Here is a photo of a western grebe with a chick. I encourage you to visit Clear Lake between May through August to see and hear these birds. It's a joy to see the pairs dance across the water in unison. Now we come to our sixth and final winter grebe. This is the basic or non-breeding plumage of the red-necked grebe. In winter, this bird can best be described as a tweener. In size, it is between that of the western grebe and the eared grebe. The bill length is between that of a Clark's grebe and a horned grebe. Look for this bird on the ocean, especially in bays. Unlike the western and the eared grebe, which are often found in floating flocks, the red-necked grebe tends to be solitary. In late spring, some individuals will begin to show the red in the neck and the clearly marked black and white of the head before they leave for their breeding grounds in western Canada and Alaska. I want to give special thanks to the people who donated their photos to make this video possible. I also want to invite you to visit our website, MendocinoCoastAudubon.org, for more information about our local birds and to view our calendar of events. And I welcome you to come join us on one of our coastal walks or field trips. Again, I hope to see you out in the field, and until then, happy birding.